Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Malley for the Insight NBA show.
G'day everyone and welcome to the Insight NBA show. I am flying solo on this one, our weekly sell high show. Big love out to Malley who sent me in some of the guys we're going to hit to on this list for this one. We're here for a good time, not a long time. We are talking about week 6 sell highs, and we are talking about a week where we're going to be absent of a basketball. Right now, as I record, we are in the midst of our Tuesday set. 6 games on today before we hit the massive 14-game Wednesday before the Thanksgiving break. And after that one, it's an interesting way to attack the schedule. There is no back-to-backs, obviously, going Wednesday to Thursday or Thursday to Friday this week. So we are looking to make a run on the weekend with the Hawks, the Hornets, or the Pistons, Saturday and Sunday, the Mavs and the Jazz, and players from those teams are actually appearing in our list this week. It has been a big week of basketball action, and the number 1 ranked player in the past week playing only 2 games, however, in the last week because of their schedule was Jalen Williams from the Thunder. Now, on the season, he is the 6th ranked player, but J-Dub, the better Jalen Williams, one can clearly say over at Oklahoma City, is the number 1 ranked player. Now, the question is this: is it sustainable? Is he a first-round guy? Well, maybe this leap is real. So when we say sell high, at the beginning of the season, this is a prime example. In one league I'm in Ballpage, there was a trade that went down for Jalen Williams and Tyrese Halliburton. And this comes to the old adage of how truly dear we hold our first-round picks. And the trade was made, it was J-Dub and someone else for Tyrese Halliburton. Now, a bit of revisionist history, that almost got vetoed until we said vetoes are dumb, don't do it. It was just way too much. Like, J-Dub was playing great. This was in week 2, I think, of the season. Tyrese hasn't been a first-round player on the year, but someone invested that pick. And everyone got their backs up, and everyone wanted to fight that. But he has been playing incredibly well. No Chet Holmgren in the team. We have had the integration back of Isaiah Hartenstein. J-Dub still flying. The Thunder look very good. This is great for him. So when we're talking sell high, we're talking a sell high. If you could package him maybe for someone like a Jokic or a Wemby, or one of those guys, this is your kind of the guy to make, to give that kind of trade a shot, because he has been nothing but phenomenal. Again, the 6th ranked player on the season. In the past week, he's been averaging 29 points a game, 4 threes, 5.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 2 steals, 1.5 blocks on 60-100 splits. That is absolutely insane. And if there was ever a just sell high window on him, it's that, especially because the return you could get on Jalen Williams. The fact is, though, do you even want to get rid of the bloke? No. I've been a Jalen Williams truther from day one. I held him through the facial fractures and the injuries in year 1. I never thought he was going to be this good, especially in year 3, but he is clearly exceeding expectations for all owners out there. And again, because that's the narrative, you have the strength of the narrative on your side that Jalen Williams is flying. And flying in the past week to the 11th position in fantasy basketball has been Jalen Brunson. The New York Knicks playing out of their minds through him and OG Anunoby, who's been the 4th ranked player. So let's put these guys in a bit of a combined thing. We've got 2 Knicks here. We've got Jalen Brunson at 11, and we've got OG at 4. Now, Malley said these ones because both of these are Malley guys, and Malley's big stealing point for Brunson in particular was that he averaged 6.7 assists last season. That's brilliant. But what has really buoyed him right now for Brunson has been the absolutely incredible amount of assists. He's averaging 11.7 assists per game the past week. That's almost 12 assists a game. That is huge. On 27 points, 2.3 rebounds, but no defensive stats. Not one block, less than a steal a game in the 3 games they've played over the course of the last week by this show. But the percentages for him have been what's been buoyed and improved dramatically. He's 500 and on 4.3 attempts, 100 from the line. Another one of these 100% shooters. He gets the volume, he assists you there, and the plus 500 from the field. This is what we liked because he was missing it to begin the season, as you can see now. So when he's getting first round value and this starts, oh, he's back. if you can spin that in your trade idea for a guy who has been 57th, who has been like an end of second, early third round draft pick, if you can pair him up right now on that sell high window where he is returning first round value, it's a clear indication of that. Now, in a league recently, I made a trade with for Jaren Jackson Jr. and involved OG Anunoby. I put Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ricochet. I put OG and Ricochet back for Jaren Jackson Jr. And Jaren Jackson Jr. was on the show last week as a sell high. And that happened a couple of weeks before that trade. And then this week, OG is on it. Now, OG is clearly buoyed right now because he's been playing out of his mind. 27 points a game, the 5 rebounds, the almost 5 threes a game is what's getting. His shot is looking good. It's looking fluid and it's sticking. 1.7 assists, but it's the stocks that we love. 2.7 stocks, 1.7 steals, 1 block per game on outrageous percentages. Another one of the 100 club. He's going to the line 2.3 attempts a game. He's been perfect in the last 3 games, and he's shooting 600% from the field. That is incredible percentages, great defensive. It is a clear sell high on OG. Again, when he was down, I packaged for Jaren Jackson Jr., who I love on the season. I needed some more rebounds and blocks. Was I making that trade this week? Would I have been able to get some more return? Yeah, quite possibly. But it's all about the timing of these things. And again, as we are in week 6 now, we can start to have a look at historical value over the season. But look, we can also sell, and this is the great thing. We can sell like, you know what? They're starting to find their way. Oh, look, they slow starter. How many times? Jalen Williams, notorious slow starter of an NBA season, number 1 ranked bloody player in the last week of fantasy basketball, and has been flying this season. We can spin that. We can also spin slow start, a little bit of injury, a little bit of nags coming off like the Olympics or blah, 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 whatever you want to say. Military duty, Lauri Markkanen. On the season is the 56th ranked player, but Lauri is back, baby. In only the 2 games he played in the past week, he was absolutely phenomenal. He was averaging 30 points a game, 4 threes, 6.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block a game. And this is what was good for him. It was the percentages. He was plus 590, plus 5, basically 595. And he didn't make it to the 100 club. The first player of our list this week not to make it to the 100 club on free throw shooting. It really does probably bang you, though. It's probably almost worth a 100. It's probably almost perfect from the line because he shot 938 from the clip. But unlike the last 3, he was getting to the line 8 times a game. This can help you to win your week. If he is taking over these 3 games, let's say, or 2 games, it was 16 free throws, and you've got a guy who's like OG Anunoby, who's only taken 2.3, so closer to 2 attempts a game over 3 games, yeah, he's hitting 100. But if you've got a low shooter, this is where a guy like Lauri really buoys you. And this is it. Now, there's the fears around Lauri. He's a shutdown candidate later in the year. We've seen it. He's been thrown his wad of cash from Utah. Don't play your 65 games, Lauri. Don't worry about your player awards or your all teams, whatever. We've got you. We've given you the bag, mate. We've given you the payday. But maybe it doesn't happen. You know, we've said this before. John Collins continues to fly and be an absolute sell high player. He'll make us on our sell high, on our still on fire list because he has been exceptional. Without Taylor Hendricks there, maybe they just roll out the team and they play basketball and they continue to look how they look and they lose. They give the guys some reps. They get the young guys talent. Lauri is one of their veterans in the team, obviously, by this point. But if you can find the perfect trader for him and get a great first round piece back, that is a guy you want to be making a mark on because Lauri has played phenomenally well. And the percentages look gorgeous. If he gets another 2 games under this belt, that just solidifies the sell high. And you can you can't name your price because of those fears, obviously, but it does give you that asset. And it does mean you can negotiate on your terms what you want to give for a guy like Lauri, or at least you can send out trades with a lot more confidence. And that's what it's about as well. Like, look, yeah, but he'll be there and he'll be around. And he's come back. He got that little injury. We were scared a week and a half ago. He came back after the nose incident and played brilliantly. And that's what's to be said for Lauri Markkanen, who has, again, course correction. 5th ranked player in the last week, 56 on the season. This is a really good step forward. Stepping forward this year, we did want good things for Brandon Miller. He was on our list. On the season, he's ranked 41. He's ranked 9 on the season and in the past week and 41 on the season. So let's look at this for Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller has been playing absolutely phenomenally. Like if you look at his numbers and you break him down, to be there at the 9th ranked player is truly some rarefied air for Brandon Miller. But how long is it going to be and is it sustainable? Now, we know that there was some Miles Bridges outages. We know that Mark Williams and Nick Richards were reassigned to the G League and have been recalled to the team, so they're going to be around. But this is a guy that a lot of people liked. And so he was ranked 20th in the past week. Now, he did this on averaging 30 points a game, 5 threes, 9 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.7 steals, less than a block game, 0.7, but 485 and 900 from the line. So almost a 50-90 guy, well, 100% a 90 guy from the free throw line, but the 485 was really good for the young guy. Now, when you're putting these together for Brandon Miller, to be the 20th ranked player on the course of the season, for the course of the last week, is phenomenal. Now, to have that week over the course of the season gives you this thing that he's one of the guys that people are invested in. And it fits that narrative as well in your trades. Again, 41st on the season. So he's a top 40 asset. But when you get them returning these top 20 type performances, he was a hot name to begin the season. Check. People wanted to draft Brandon Miller. Check. Really good buzz around the guy. Check. But may he lose some touches? May he lose some of that usage? Well, check and check. We've seen Coach Lee doing great things. He even sat LaMelo Ball at times last week and let Trey Mann cook. So this is a guy who's really happy to mess around. He's got the command of the locker room and he's rolling Brandon Miller out there. So this is where a guy you might be able to target like a top 30 guy for Miller and get returned. Because I don't think Brandon is going to, because we're obviously on a first name basis, Brando and I, but I don't think you could look at Brandon Miller and say, you know what, you're going to be top 30 all the way. But could you get a top 30 player consistently back for him? I really do think we're at the point right now, especially with his performances over the last week, to be a top 20 player over the course of the last week. That for me screams the sell high banner. And I know for me, and I'm a guy who loves the bloke, and I'm an old school Charlotte Hornets fan from years ago. But I think when I see that, I just see value and what I can get back. The next few guys are really interesting because they're veterans. And it's really hard to move veterans sometimes. Because veterans, they have this thing about what their role is. And so I'm going to run through a list of veteran guys right now who are playing really, really well. And also to the point where they've become just incredibly good assets on their respective basketball teams, buoying their fantasy value. And it's not just even a case right now of like a situation, apart from one of them is a bit situational. Or maybe two of them has been situational, to be fair. I'll say two of them is situational 100% through injuries, but not when you look at one of their, that's not even a teaser. It's just not when you look at their season. Let me start with this bloke. Let me start with PJ Washington. This week, he has been the 57th ranked player in 62 on the season. And everyone knows that I'm a massive PJ Washington fan. I was widely out there saying to everyone, pick 100 to get him. And this doesn't look incredible. But on the strength of his performances over the course of the past week, when you have a look at what he's been doing in Dallas without Luka, he has obviously clearly been the second big horse in the rim. He has been playing as the number 1 ranked player, as the 33rd ranked player in the past 3 games, shooting up the rankings. He's averaging 18 points, 11 rebounds a game, 2.7 assists, 2 steals, a block on 508.50 from the line, PJ Washington. That is absolutely huge. So he's the 33rd ranked player on the season. And because of this, it's buoying his on year. And when we can get those guys who are buoying up their on year value, this is where we can bring them into our, we can sell high on them because, look at him over the course of the year, though. It fits that. 62nd on the course of the year. So again, you look at the recency bias because, again, we love some recency bias. We're all about, look, man, he's got it. Yeah, Luka's going to come back. Fair enough. This is true. And he's been needing to carry it. But still, when you look at the course of the season and the guy is a top 70 player and then he shows these flashes, this is who you can use to possibly get yourself a guy who is projecting around the same way right now, because no one can tell me that they wouldn't trade PJ Washington for a top 40, top 45 player when he's the currently 33rd ranked player if they could get away with it. You 100% would. And this is, I'm pretty sure, 100% why Malley put PJ Washington on his list. Luka's going to come back. His percentages are up and down all over the place. So go for consistency. It's not points and the recency bias sexiness that we love, but consistency is sexy in fantasy. It's going to get you what you need. And if you can get a top 50 consistent guy who fits your team build, who can get you some of the areas that you might need to consolidate or dramatically improve, PJ Washington is 100% that asset. This next guy, I can't believe we're talking about him by the same way, but for the Golden State Warriors, we've got Andrew Wiggins, who in the last week has been the 27th best player. In fact, he was the best Golden State Warrior. I repeat, he was the best Golden State freaking warrior in fantasy, man. Wigo is having a tremendous season, really big bounce. This is a guy who was undrafted. He could be getting my award right now for best waiver pickup of the year so far. He has really taken on I guess you could say I don't know if he'd be the second best player, but he'd be like, it's like Steph Curry's team. And then it's kind of Wiggins is there as like the tenured guy. I mean, I know Draymond Green is like the second horse in town and whatever, but it feels like for me, Wiggins has just taken an incredible leap forward on the season. He's returned after 18 tumultuous months. Again, hands up, don't do that. You could be driving the car while listening to the podcast, but we all know that Andrew Wiggins was undrafted in a lot of leagues, or, oh, yeah, maybe I'll take him and he has a role. Or I guess he's going to be, again, consistency is sexy. Your second last pick or your last pick on your draft, you're like, oh, yeah, Wiggins, oh, yeah, maybe I'll just give him a go. If it doesn't work out, I'll just drop him off in the car park on the waiver wire and pick up the hottest fresh agent. Aren't you glad you made that decision come draft day? Because he has been phenomenal over the last week. 23 points a game, 3 threes, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, plus 500, plus 880 from the field. It is sell high on Andrew Wiggins. Again, a wonderful guy because of the veteran we could package, but you look at his on-season value as being the 80th best player. And if you could upgrade him to a top 70 player, top 75 guy that you really like, or even put in a package, this is a guy that you can absolutely do that. The next guy, Brook Lopez, absolutely huge. 22nd for the last week, 31 on the season. He is having a phenomenal year for the Milwaukee Bucks, who are not having so much of a phenomenal year. And with that kind of buoyancy in value, bigs, shot blockers, great percentages, you can sell him to a team who might just be, I wouldn't maybe sell him to a team that is really good at blocks already. And this, oh yeah, you want to confer that. Like they're probably already winning it. If they've got Wemby and Chet, who's out, but whatever, if they've got like Wemby, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker bloody Kessler they picked up late, you don't want to sell a guy like Lopez to them. You don't want to sell Brook that down that way. He's been 24th in the course of the last week. That is absolutely huge. And on the season, he has been playing tremendously well. Like he's 22nd, 24th between #basketball and basketball monster. So clearly a top 25 guy. On the course of the season, he's just outside the top 30. But again, when you look at the percentages that he's been putting together, it's absolutely phenomenal. And it's value for your trade. He is the number 1 player in the last week for the Milwaukee Bucks, 15 points a game, 6 rebounds. Again, funnily enough, not a tremendous rebounder. I've never thought of him as like, you know what? He's going to help me win rebounds. And the blocks aren't even that there. They're 1.7, the steals are 1.7, and the assists are 2.7 in the last week. But plus 800 from the line and plus 580 from the line and from the floor, that'll do it for you every single time. And he's a really nice package guy. But again, you sell him maybe to a team that's struggling in blocks, good percentages, does block shots, although he's not a +2 a game for the last week. But, on the season, he's been very dependable. You could sell a guy like that for a legitimate top 40 piece, top 30 even. Now, I don't think you'll ever get that. But again, if you were to put him in a package with someone else, the return that you can get, it's that 2-for-1 thing. Find a trader who's in for 2-for-1s. And Lopez is going to be one of those guys that you absolutely can get away with it for because he fits so many bills. He doesn't hurt you anywhere. And the 2 threes a game, that's great as well. So this is a guy we can legitimately look to sell high on, but make sure that we're getting back the right return on it. Because again, he is helping you out because he doesn't hurt you in those ways. He's getting you 2 threes a game. He's the top 40 player on the season. So you need to make sure you get it. You've got excellent percentages, plus 500, an excellent free throw shooter, plus 800, 6 rebounds a game. Yeah, that's good. That's tasty. 1.7 steals, 1.7 blocks in the last week. These are all really attractive numbers. Can you afford to lose that hit? What is it that you're doing? What is your punt? Did you pick him up to buoy your field goal percentage and you've got a whole bunch of poor shooters and you've got a couple of bigs there to stabilize that? Well, then you don't want to let such an asset go because that's a detriment to your team. But what can you get that's an asset back to your team that he is the asset for? That's what we're trying to do with veterans like Wiggins and Lopez and PJ Washington and Harrison bloody Barnes. Harrison Barnes. This is another guy that I told you about. This is a veteran who has been buoyed this week as the second best San Antonio Spur. He has been nothing short of phenomenal the last week. It's been vintage Barnesy. He has been playing incredibly well. 23 points a game. The 9 rebounds is just not sustainable. Wemby was out, which helped this as well. So with Wemby being out, old man Barnesy just steps on me like, I got this, boys. Let the vet take it from here, because he was phenomenal. But again, if you look at him, that recency bias, this is another one of these veterans where I said it was really interesting to look at. Can we bring them back into our team? And here's the guy that we want to look at to bring in that value for our team and bring in and package with another guy to upgrade. A great 2-for-1 on these trades really helps. And because recency bias, the first thing you're going to do when you get a trade is you look at what they've been doing lately, and everything that he's been doing looks good. Yeah, I mean, you look at his last games. Yeah, you say it's win with him, but look at him on the season. But look at him on the season is the point. He's a top 100 player in the season. Like, he's been playing really well. Like, I'm not going to say he's been reinvigorated in San Antonio by any way, shape, or form, but he is looking really dependable in this outfit. And on the year, if you were to tell me that, he's been decent, you could, because he's been the 181st player, but he's been playing all right. So a perfect package guy. The last one is a little bit interesting. I was asked this week, do I think Ant Edwards has been playing super well? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you think he's a first-round guy? And I'm like, no. And he's not. He's been the 14th best player, and he's 17th on the season. But there still is the perception around that Anthony Edwards is a first-round guy. So this is now the time that I'm looking to trade up from Anthony Edwards as a sell high, especially when he's touching that fringe 14, because we can know he can flirt between 12 and 20. When we start to flirt around that value, I think it's the time to sell high on him. So you might hear me say this a couple times over the course of the year, but when he is that fringy end of first round value, because he is Anthony Edwards, because we love him and we see him as a first round player, he is a perfect guy. I mean, you could probably package him and a Lopez, or him and a PJ Washington, for someone like maybe Jokic's owner is unhappy, or Wemby's owner is unhappy for some reason. They're just chasing points or something, and you're giving them a couple of guys. I'm not going to say that, but if we're looking over the course of the rankings for the course of the season, we're looking at who is the number one ranked player and who's around there. Look, you've got Jokic and Wemby, but could you get an AD? Could you get a Shea? Could you get a Cat? Well, you might be able to get a Shea if you're packaging Anthony Edwards and someone else. And I would take that a million times out of a million. If you could get Shea for Anthony Edwards in a straight swap by any way, shape, or form, I'd 100% do that. And guys who are still hot over the past of the course week, still on fire. Franz Wagner has been the 6th ranked player. Jarrett Allen is now 23rd on the season and 23rd in the last week. Cam Johnson continues to evolve. He's got even better. He is the 24th ranked player on the course of the last week, 37th overall on the season. And John Collins continuing to do John Collins things. He is down to the 20th ranked player on the season and 26. Now, Malley and I have a fundamental disagreement on John Collins. He has now been on this list for 4 weeks. He is filling the Taylor Hendricks void. People might be like, who's going to get shut down? Well, he didn't get shut down last year when Larry was shut down. Maybe he gets traded. Yeah, maybe he does. But you can't ignore value entirely. John Collins is still an absolutely sell high guy. But also, again, much like the other situations where we talked about with guys like Lopez, do we want to get rid of guys who are assets to our team and we needed them? And again, we might have got them on a waiver wire. We don't want to just sell them for nothing. Make sure you get your return and make sure you like and subscribe to All Things Insight. Take care. Hit the button down below. We'll see you soon.